How's it going? Smiggles here. Just started up a new channel, so just going to throw some stuff out there and see how I get on. But I was going to start off the channel by doing some retro gaming. I'm going to be doing other types of gaming and everything in between. But I was going to start off and I was going to do some retro gaming on the SEGA Dreamcast. And in recent weeks, we've seen this Project Dream come up, which is a group of people who've decided that a Sega Dreamcast 2 should be a reality. And they have a whole business plan ready to go to Sega. I think actually at the moment they've made contact with Sega, which is good, they're making headway. But their plan is to go to Sega and they have a whole business plan ready to say, this is the console we've designed, this is what it'll look like, this is what the controller will be like, this is the hardware that'll be in it, how much it will cost to develop this console on a large scale. I'm sure they have all these figures. It's like a squeaky chair. They have all these figures drawn up to do these things, to build this console on a large scale. But it's I'm kind of between two minds about the whole Dreamcast 2, and it's that, is it possible, first question, and short answer, no. And then the long answer is maybe if things go right. So in terms of short answer, no, it's because the Dreamcast came out in 1999. Now Sega since then have been out of the hardware market, so the likelihood of them stepping back into it now, with the PS4, the Xbox One, the Wii U is out and Nintendo are developing their NX, you've got the PC market stronger than ever, and loads of other things, even like PS Vita, no one buys it, okay, fair enough, but it's out there, so the 3DS still sells like hotcakes. And you have all these other different things out there at the minute to compete with. And I don't think Sega want to step back into that market, because we seen before with the original Xbox, the first one when it came out, not the Xbox One, which is not the, but anyway, the first Xbox, not Sony, Microsoft had to develop a different PR plan or marketing plan, because everyone knew who Microsoft were. They developed this big OS system for computers, and for PCs they're very good at it, but do they do gaming? And Microsoft accepted that we're going to have to go in and accept a loss starting out with the first Xbox. And I think Sega would have to do that again. They'd have to be like, this console could launch, but it wouldn't sell as well as any other console on the market. Like people like me, like my age group and older and everything, would say, yeah, I'd love a Dreamcast 2. I'll go out there and I'll buy that thing straight away, providing there's some decent titles at launch with it as well, But in terms of a younger generation who never grew up with Sega, like from the original Master System through to the Mega Drive, then the Sega CD and the 32X, and then the Saturn, and then finally, oh yeah, there's the console we meant to make all along. There's the Dreamcast, which at the time was brilliant. Dreamcast had great selection of games on it, like independent titles. It had some people criticise the controller, but if you look at the original Xbox controller, they took a lot of ideas from it in the shape and the button layout and the XYAB on it and things like that. And then you move on to, like, it had online gaming at the time, proper online gaming, before Xbox decided to do it and everything. They had their little the VMU cards you pop in. The graphics at the time were brilliant. Like, there's some classic games and they look still good. You can still go back to them and play them, and you're not going, ugh, look at this. You're looking at it and going, yeah, at the time this was pretty good. And even if you show a Dreamcast to someone who never seen it back then, they even say like, these are good graphics for the time. But in terms of them going back into that, I can't see it happening. And then another thing is finance. Like, these guys who've set up this plan, business plan, you know, realistically, what are you talking, like over $500 million maybe, or something crazy amount of money. And I don't think Sega are going to invest all their capital into that. Like, Sega still make lots of software, like tons of games out there still that's coming through Sega's catalogue. Although, like, you know, last year people were saying, oh, there's not much coming this year, but they're still working. But I don't think that Sega will, you know, risk all that just to relaunch, you know, a console. So I think it's a big ask for a big company like Sega to just risk it all, like going into such a high risk area of video games. I think as well, you know, they probably don't have a huge amount of engineers or anything working on hardware. So, you know, you have to start employing all these people again. You have to start a whole R&D team. You know, you need to employ, you know, people to be working in labs and working on, you know, new motherboards and new unique things. And yeah, you can hire external companies to do that, but that's still more money. And then you have to get them mass produced, and then everything else is more money. In terms of a lineup of games, like Sega, yeah, they have a few things there, but, you know, an awful lot of games have went off to, you know, other consoles. And sure, yeah, you can get EA or Ubisoft on board to release the next Madden or FIFA or NHL or the next Assassin's Creed on the console, but you need to have those, you know, pulling factor games like Nintendo have, and Microsoft and Sony. You know, they've all got their games that pull them towards their particular console. You know, like Nintendo have their Zeldas and their Marios, and Xbox has Halo and things like Forza Racing. Sony then as well, they've what do Sony have? Oh yeah, they've got their Killzone and Uncharted and things like that. Sorry, but just left my mind there. What did Sony do? But you know, they have those games that pull people in, and Sega need to do that again. Like, start from the bottom and work up. And I don't think it's gonna happen. But in terms of maybes, then, like, you know, maybe someone out there is going to see this project. I think the website is projectdream.co, I think, off the top of my head. But they may have people that are very interested in investing money in this project. And there may be someone out there with a lot of money, a lot of spare money, that they don't mind investing in this. And the thing about that is, then it's not really Sega's. It's someone else that's invested into it to make it a reality. And I think Sega, like this group have been in contact with Sega, and I think they're going to say, thanks Sega, or thanks you guys from Project Dream. We appreciate, you know, you guys bringing this to the table, and we appreciate, you know, there was petitions and everything up online, and Facebook groups and Twitter and everything else. But I think they're going to say thanks but no thanks. You know, we're primarily software now, and it's just not a viable option for us to move into the hardware market at this stage. Maybe in the foreseeable future, you know, you get this blah 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 company jargon, they'll throw it back at you. And I think Sony will put up Sega, the other S, Sega will put up an official statement on their page saying, thanks to everyone for all your support, and it's so good to see so many Sega fans. And like, I would love to see it happen, but being realistic, I don't think it will. And they'll say, no, we're not doing this. Now, they may think about the Dreamcast 2, but then say, you know what we can do? We can release a box, like one of those little, those little Mega Drive boxes you plugged into your TV and had all the games on it, something like that, for the Dreamcast, and it'll be, £120 sterling or $170 or €150 or whatever your currency is, and they'll release it out there, and it'll be like, there's the top 20 games in terms of sales that were ever on the Dreamcast. Enjoy, thanks for all your support, buy this now, and I think Sega will just kind of say, well, at least we know people still like us out there, even though you guys have released so many Sonic games, and not many of them have been good, in my opinion. Now, other people may love them, and that's fine, but I think they've kind of come to terms that they're not going to be going back into the hardware market. Now, I could be proven wrong, and when this video goes up, 2 months down the line, it's like, look at that there now. There's, Sega saying, yeah, we're doing it. But as well, and then I'd say, okay, hands up in the air, yeah, I was wrong. But at the same time, if they'd even if they said now tomorrow they're doing it, it's 2016 now, that thing, it wouldn't be out until late 2018. You're talking Christmas 2018 before the thing would be even released. But that's looking way down the line anyway. I think that it's all going to be just a pipe dream that'll come to nothing, and it will just fade away. And I think realistically, we should all just look at the Dreamcast for what it was and remember it as it was. It was a good system that was kind of underappreciated at the time, and was kind of out at the wrong time because, as we know from history, Sony came out and released the PS2 that sold, was 155 million consoles, greatest selling system of all time. And we should just look back at it and enjoy it for what it was, all the classic games, which I'm going to be doing a couple of videos on, just playing around with them, just messing. And yeah, we should just leave it as it is. And I think a Dreamcast 2, if it didn't take off immediately with huge hype and huge sales, it would literally be the end of Sega. Not just, again, the end of their hardware sales, but the end of them completely. The entire company would go. And you don't want to see that either. You want a competitive market with lots of people, lots of different developers coming out with games, and you have PlayStation and Xbox and Wii fanboys, or of all these people saying, the PS4 is the best, no, the Xbox One, no, the Wii U is really good, and then the PC master race saying, no, this is all, all those consoles are rubbish. But at the same time, competition is healthy, because if Nintendo stopped and or Microsoft stopped, and all you were left with was the PlayStation 4 to buy, Sony could do what they wanted, and you'd have no choice but to buy it. And it's easy saying, no, I just wouldn't buy it, I'd go to PC. And it's like, well, then PC have everything, and then PC can, people they can release whatever, and they can release games that rely on huge specs, and you need a huge rig to play games, and if you can't do it, well, tough luck, you've got no other option. So it's good to have a competitive market, but I think that Sega won't be entering it with a new console anytime soon, or even in the future. So yeah, I just like to throw my 2 cents on it before I put up a few videos on the Sega Dreamcast. I'm going to do primarily like a retro game in there. I have a lot of systems to go through and play some games, just have a bit of fun with them, and hope you enjoy them all. But that's basically my opinion on whether a Sega Dreamcast 2 will become a reality or not. And thanks for watching anyway, and see you guys later on.